Namaskar, good evening. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with News Tonight. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. Prime Minister Modi invites Chinese President Xi Jinping for a repeat of the Wuhan informal summit. Xi accepts Modi's invitation to visit India in 2019. Both sides sign MOUs on sharing hydrological data on Brahmaputra River and rice exports from India. Prime Minister to address SCO summit tomorrow. In Karnataka, dissent among MLAs who failed to get cabinet portfolios threatens to derail coalition government. Supporters of Karnataka Congress leader Ramalinga Reddy hold protests in Bengaluru. Congress President Rahul Gandhi meets MLAs led by MB Patil in Delhi. Rain and lightning strike claims 53 lives in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar since last night. Blinding dust storm derails normal life in Delhi and NCR region. Monsoon reaches a day early in Mumbai and Maharashtra, waterlogging in many areas. Pakistan's former military dictator Pervez Musharraf to contest national elections on July 25th. Pakistani Supreme Court allows him to return from Dubai, assures him immunity from arrest if he presents himself in court by June 13. And in French Open women's final, Simona Halep beats Sloane Stephens in 3 sets to lift the title. In sporting action coming up tomorrow, Rafael Nadal will take on Dominic Thiem in the French Open men's final, and Indian women will meet Bangladesh in the finals of the Women's Asia Cup T20 tournament. And straight to the top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of the SCO summit in Qingdao today. Both leaders held talks on the key aspects of the bilateral engagements. 2 agreements were also signed between the two nations. One of the important outcomes of today's meeting was China conveying that it had accepted Prime Minister Narendra Modi's invitation to President Xi Jinping to have an informal summit in India in 2019.
On the first day of his 2-day visit to China for the SCO summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held direct talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Qingdao. Both leaders decided on deepening bilateral ties while reviewing the implementation of decisions taken at the informal summit in Wuhan at the end of April.
और ये बात स्पष्ट है कि भारत और चीन के मजबूत संबंध, भारत और चीन के स्थिर संबंध विश्व की स्थिरता और शांति में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका अदा कर सकते हैं। और मुझे खुशी है कि मैं वुहान में जितनी खुलकर के अपने बातें हुई एक सक्षम नेता की।
While External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar called the meeting warm and forward-looking on Twitter, Chinese envoy to India Luo Zhahui said the two leaders focused on implementation of Wuhan consensus.
Chinese side conveyed that they accepted Prime Minister's invitation to President Xi Jinping to have a similar informal summit in India in 2019. And obviously the dates and so on and the other logistics get worked out at the diplomatic level and not at this level. Both also agreed, as they had decided in Wuhan, to keep strategic communications, to maintain them through various channels, including through telephone calls and through frequent meetings, including in the sidelines of multilateral events. And in that context, both of them agreed that their next meeting would be when they met at the BRICS summit in South Africa next month.
2 MOUs were signed after the meeting. One on China sharing hydrological information of Brahmaputra River with India, and another on amending the protocol on phytosanitary requirements for exporting rice from India to China to include non-basmati rice.
The one-on-one meeting between the leaders of both Asian giants in Qingdao comes less than 60 days after the informal summit held in Wuhan. The renewed momentum is a clear indication of the efforts made by both sides to reset and further strengthen the bilateral relationship. With camera person Sudhanshu Bhushan Shahu in Qingdao, this is Vishal Dahiya for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some more developments. Pakistan's former President Pervez Musharraf may contest the upcoming elections on July 25th. This after the Supreme Court gave him conditional permission. Hearing a petition against a lifetime ban on Musharraf by a High Court in 2013, the Supreme Court said he can file nomination. Musharraf's APML party will contest election from Northern District of Chitral in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. It also asked Musharraf to appear in person on June 13th and promised he will not be arrested despite his involvement in several criminal cases. Musharraf was indicted in March 2014 on treason charges for imposing emergency in 2007. And for more on this, we'll go across to Mr. IMTIAZ Gul, who is a senior journalist and political analyst joining us from Islamabad. Thank you so much, Mr. Gul, for talking to Rajya Sabha TV. The first big question at the moment which comes to our mind is, where is Mr. Pervez Musharraf? Earlier this week, we saw Pakistani news reports that Musharraf's citizenship and passport has been revoked.
I think he's currently in London most of the time. He's putting up there. He has his family also with him. So I think if at all, he should be getting ready to come to Pakistan after the Supreme Court has cleared the way for him.
And today's reports say that Pakistani Supreme Court has conditionally allowed him to contest the election. What is the correct picture on this?
Well, obviously, the court has allowed him because there was no appeal against the High Court decision which had disqualified him for life. So the legal process was not complete. Probably this is the leeway that the court saw as an opportunity to allow him to return to Pakistan and contest elections. However, one also has to say that General Pervez Musharraf has played his innings in Pakistan for 9 years, and he is, I think, largely irrelevant to the Pakistani politics as of today.
The same question, in the absence of Nawaz Sharif, how important or relevant is Mr. Musharraf in Pakistani politics now?
Well, as I said, General Pervez Musharraf, I think, is politically history, not relevant anymore, and he has, I think, a lot of questions to answer if he at all decides to return to Pakistan, because it's not just the charges of upholding the constitution in abeyance and imposing the emergency in November 2007, but many more questions, I think, will haunt him, and they still beg answers because under him, a lot happened, particularly in the years of 2006 and 2007, which went against the spirit of democracy, which was against the judiciary. And also, I think he tried to establish himself politically, which never happened. I think he remains a non-entity as far as his political stature is concerned.
And Nawaz Sharif has questioned the Supreme Court's verdict. Why does he remain disqualified from holding the public office?
Well, I think it's for the court to decide and adjudicate whether Nawaz Sharif deserves to be disqualified. Obviously, the Supreme Court invoked a constitutional provision which relates to the withholding or non-declaration of information before contesting the elections. And I think that was probably the easier way for the court to adjudicate his matter. However, there is no, I think, provision in the Constitution, no clarity on as to how long can the incumbent be disqualified or kept from the politics. This is still a big question that the Parliament of Pakistan and the judiciary has to determine as to whether somebody can remain disqualified for the rest of his life.
Thank you so much, Mr. IMTIAZ Gul, for joining us and giving us all those details on that latest which is transpiring in Pakistan. And of course, now moving on, The latest from Karnataka, where the supporters of Karnataka Congress leader Ramalinga Reddy protested outside Bengaluru's town hall on Saturday. They were protesting against the portfolio allocation. Meanwhile, Congress President Rahul Gandhi also met the disgruntled Karnataka MLAs led by MB Patil in the national capital. The talks, however, remained inconclusive. After the meeting, Patil said the next plan of action will be decided after discussions with the 15 to 20 MLAs who are unhappy with the cabinet expansion. He asserted that he has no plans to quit the Congress. Party leader KB Gowda said that they are trying to resolve the differences.
हमारे मिनिस्ट्री नहीं मिली इसीलिए नाराज है वो भी ये कहते हैं कि हम पार्टी को लॉयल है पार्टी कोई छोड़ने वाले नहीं है लेकिन हमको अन्याय हुआ है इसको ठीक करो हाई कमांड निश्चित रूप से इसको देखेगी.
And dissatisfaction is also brewing in the JDS. GT Devgowda, who has been allotted higher education, and CS Putturaju, who has got minor irrigation, are unhappy about their ministries. Their supporters held protests in Mysuru and Madhya, the districts they hail from, demanding key portfolios for their leaders. Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy said no one has expressed dissatisfaction with him personally. Meanwhile, BJP leader B.S. Yedurappa has claimed that several disgruntled leaders from the ruling Congress and JDS are eager to join his party. And the tussle over Rajya Sabha seat has divided the Congress party in Kerala. Several party leaders and MLAs have strongly objected to the party's decision to forego the Rajya Sabha seat held by P.J. Kurian in favour of Kerala Congress Mani, which the decision to field Jose K. Mani was taken at the meeting of the KCM hours after the party led by the veteran leader K.M. Mani rejoined the UDF after a 2-year hiatus. Jose K. Mani, son of K.M. Mani, is currently the party's lone member in Lok Sabha from Kottayam parliamentary constituency. The seat is currently held by Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman P.J. Kurian of the Congress, who is set to retire on 1st of July. CPM has fielded former Minister E. Kareem for the position, while former Minister Binoy Biswam is contesting from CPI. And UN Chief Antonio Guterres today described India as a very important inspiration for the international community, praising India for its leadership in a development partnership fund with the UN. Guterres said it has emerged as a vital example of deepening South-South cooperation. He thanked India for its strong commitment to multilateralism and to partnership with the United Nations. He further said that India played a very important role in shaping the Sustainable Development Goals, saying that even before the goals were crystallized, India's own development efforts and vision reflected many of the same priorities and aspirations. The India-UN Development Partnership Fund was launched last year with the aim of assisting projects for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in partner countries.
India played a very important role in shaping the Sustainable Development Goals. And even before the goals were crystallized, India's own development efforts and vision reflected many of the same priorities and aspirations. I thank India for its strong commitment to multilateralism and to partnership with the United Nations, which is expressed in many ways across the global agenda, but which we see again through the activities of this important fund.
And the UNICEF has praised India's impressive progress in reducing maternal deaths. UNICEF India representative Yasem Ali Haq particularly praised Uttar Pradesh for topping the chart in reduction of maternal deaths. According to Sample Registration System Bulletin released earlier this week, India has registered a significant decline in maternal mortality ratio, recording a 22% reduction in such deaths since 2013. According to the SRS Bulletin, there were nearly 12,000 fewer maternal deaths in 2016 as compared to 2013. This means that every day 30 more pregnant women are now being saved in India when compared to 2013. Uttar Pradesh, with a 30% decline, topped the chart in reduction of maternal deaths. And with that, time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Over the years, SCO has become a comprehensive regional organization, in fact the largest in terms of geographical coverage and population. For India, this is the first summit as a full member state. The focus of SCO summit will be on regional security challenges with a significant outcome document on counter-terrorism. We'll bring you all the latest information on SCO summit from here in Qingdao, China.
Four years of Modi government. What special effort on skill development schemes of Ministry of Minority Affairs?
मुझे पढ़ाई करने के लिए घर वालों ने मना कर दिया था कि पढ़ाई नहीं करनी है। फिर मैंने एम ग्लोबल इंस्टीट्यूट देखा और इस नई मंजिल से मुझे एक नई स्कीम मिली, नई मंजिल मिली।
जो अपनी पढ़ाई कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाए या बहुत पीछे रह गया, जिनमें कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं था आगे बढ़ने का, तो यहाँ पे उनके लिए हम फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ट्रेनिंग दे रहे हैं, क्लासेस दे रहे हैं।
ये जो स्कीम है नई मंजिल सरकार द्वारा जो ये योजना है, ये मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी और इससे हमें अधिक फ़ायदे हैं।
नई मंजिल ओनली ऑन राज्यसभा टीवी।
Welcome back. Now the weather news. 26 people were killed in dust storms and lightning that struck parts of Uttar Pradesh on Saturday. There were reports of rains in Punjab, Haryana and some parts of Uttar Pradesh which had been facing sweltering weather conditions. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has directed the district magistrates of the affected areas to immediately provide compensation to families of those killed and said no laxity will be tolerated. A dust storm with winds gusting up to 70 kilometers per hour hit the national capital on Saturday evening, bringing some relief to the searing heat. The dust storm pushed the temperature down by a few notches. Delhi recorded a high of 40.5 degrees Celsius and a low of 30 degrees Celsius, according to the Met Office. The humidity levels were recorded at 71%. The IMD forecast dust storm in Ghaziabad, Meerut, Baghpat and other adjoining districts of western Uttar Pradesh. And at least 2 people were killed in rain-related incidents in Maharashtra's Thane district. Heavy rain slashed Mumbai, causing inconvenience to people as the downpour left roads waterlogged and disrupted traffic. People were seen wading through ankle-deep water while motorists and other vehicle owners drove their vehicles at slower speeds in order to avoid any mishappening. IMD has predicted heavy rainfall in Mumbai for the next 2 days as well, and warnings have been issued to fishermen venturing out to the sea. Some more developments. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath met Bollywood actor Sanjay Dutt at his residence in Lucknow as a part of BJP's campaign SAMPARK for Samarthan. The Chief Minister presented Sanjay with a book on the life of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and shared Modi government's achievements.
ऐसे विशिष्ट लोगों से, अलग अलग क्षेत्र के विशिष्ट जनों के साथ जनसंपर्क का अभियान पार्टी के सभी नेताओं ने प्रारंभ किया है। आज मुझे ये अवसर प्राप्त हुआ है कि मैं पार्टी के इस जनसंपर्क अभियान का हिस्सा बनूं, और इस क्रम में मैंने इस अभियान की शुरुआत सुप्रसिद्ध फिल्म अभिनेता संजय दत्त से की है।
While Minister of Minority Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi met India Islamic Cultural Center Chief Sirajuddin Qureshi, Representatives from Muslim educational institutes and other social fields were also present during the meeting. Naqvi informed them about the government's work aimed at inclusive growth. He said social communal harmony and tolerance is the DNA of India and said to work collectively to strengthen unity. He even added that minorities are safer in India than any other democratic country in the world. And India's first indigenous long-range artillery gun, DHANUSH, has passed its final test at Pokhran on Friday, paving the way for its induction into the army. The guns passed tests under severe cold conditions in Sikkim and Leh, and in hot and humid weather in Balasore, Odisha, Babina and in Jhansi and in the desert of Pokhran in Rajasthan. DHANUSH, also known as Desi Bofors, is a 155mm and 45mm caliber artillery gun and has a strike range of 38 kilometers. 81% of its components are indigenously sourced, which would be scaled up to 90% by 2019. It has features like electronic gun laying and sighting systems. Under an agreement to be inked soon, a total of 414 DHANUSH guns would be supplied to the army. And now the international news. The Taliban has announced a 3-day ceasefire with Afghan security forces for Eid, but Taliban's operations against foreign occupiers would continue. The announcement from Taliban came after Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani on Thursday declared a unilateral week-long ceasefire with the Taliban. He tweeted that the ceasefire would last from 27th day of Ramzan until the 5th day of Eid. This is the first time that Taliban had agreed to a ceasefire for Eid since the US invasion in 2001. The US has welcomed the ceasefire announcement.
The level of confidence today is sufficient for President Ghani to announce a temporary ceasefire for the end of Ramadan, offering the Taliban an opportunity to bring to an end this fighting and providing the world a clear demonstration of his government and our alliance's commitment to peace and an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned peace process.
And at least 17 Afghan soldiers were killed when Taliban fighters stormed a military base in western Afghanistan. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack on Friday night. Talibani militants also took away weapons from the security personnel following the attack. The attack came just hours before the Taliban announced an unprecedented ceasefire with the Afghan security forces for the first 3 days of Eid. The unexpected move came 2 days after the Afghan government's surprise announcement of an apparently unilateral week-long halt to operations against the Taliban. And on to sports now. World number 1 Simona Halep of Romania defeated Sloane Stephens of the US to win the French Open women's title. Halep beat Stephens 3-6, 6-4, 6-1 in a 2-hour-long match to lift her first Grand Slam trophy. First set belonged to Stephens, who clinched it 6-3, but Halep turned the game in the second and third to lift the title. With this win, Halep became the first Romanian to win a Grand Slam since 1978. In men's final, Rafael Nadal of Spain will be eyeing his 11th French Open title. He will face Austria's Dominic Thiem on Sunday in the final. And Indian women's team put in a brilliant all-round performance to outclass Pakistan and reach the final of the Women's Asia Cup T20 tournament in Kuala Lumpur on Saturday. Bowling first, India first restricted Pakistan to 72 for 7. Thereafter, despite losing Mithali Raj and Deepti Sharma early, a 65-run third wicket between Smriti Mandhana and captain Harmanpreet Kaur saw India home in 16.1 overs. Skipper Harmanpreet Kaur remained unbeaten on 34 to take her side to the victory. India will face the winner of semi-final between Bangladesh versus Malaysia that will be played later today. The final will be played on Sunday. And that's all we have for you in this edition of News Tonight. For more news and updates, keep watching Rajya Sabha television.